Let this radicalize you rather than lead you to despair. The alt-right charismatic cult leader that wanted to overturn an election and would be a dictator in a heartbeat if he could has become the president again. And it's not surprising at all because of course he did. This country is very stupid and racist. It is so upsetting and heartbreaking. And I think it's really telling that whenever Trump lost, Republicans were angry and they felt entitled to him winning. And whenever Trump wins, people are terrified. People are devastated because he is so threatening to so many things. Marginalized people, to democracy, to our safety and security. Like, everybody knows that this dude is in bed with dictators and the worst people in the world, and with billionaires, and with the alt-right, and with evangelical Christians. I really hope that this radicalizes people in the same way it did the first time he was elected, and like it did when COVID first happened. We aren't given a choice. Our choice was between two evils, and it's like this every 4 years, and it's exhausting. You can either choose between a genocidal warmonger that is literally killing the planet that we live on, or you can choose a genocidal warmonger that is literally killing the planet that we live on, that is also going to fuck over marginalized people and try to take our rights away. That isn't a choice. It's not okay. It's not normal. I hope so sincerely that the people of the future can look back on the way we're living now and think, how did they think that that was okay? How did they live with that? How did they allow that? And how did they escape that? I don't think that we should just lay down and accept this behavior from anyone. Whether or not they're a Democrat or a Republican, it doesn't matter at all. And I truly think that Trump supporters are not our enemy. I think that they are brainwashed by a fucking cult leader that's promising them safety, because people are afraid. People are afraid of war. And of course they are. All of us essentially want the same things. And we have two parties that are promising us safety. And they never, ever follow through with it. It never, ever works because they are the thing that is making us unsafe. It shouldn't be an option for them to bomb cities. It shouldn't be an option for them to take away the rights of random people and random groups, and to use our personhood to get votes. And they're both doing it. Republicans are saying, hey, if you're a crazy alt-right person or whatever, like, it's not even that. Like, people become that. These people aren't just bad people. They are people who are listening to all of this propaganda that is convincing them that random trans people are going to destroy their lives and like the fabric of society. And Republicans are playing off of people's genuine, justified fears. Like, so many people are struggling to make ends meet. And what is Trump saying? He's saying, hey, I'm gonna make shit cheap again. I'm gonna, jobs and whatever it is. These immigrants are taking your jobs, and that's why you're poor. These are real problems that people have, and they are basically trying to sell us solutions that, of course, aren't going to work because it doesn't get to the root and the core of the problem. Obviously, immigrants aren't the reason that you're poor. It's because the multi-billion-dollar corporation that you work for isn't paying you a living wage, while the costs of everything are going up because you just fucking can't. If you own all the food in the world, people need food to live, and you can make it cost as much as you fucking want, and there is nothing stopping you. And I think that insecurity and that fear, it makes people less resistant to control, right? Because if you're fucking scared, you're in survival mode. You want this big, strong guy who's, so tough and confident, and he says he's perfect. He says he's gonna save us. He's never had a war. He can help us because we need help. And isn't it easier to just hand all of that over to him and say, fix us, Daddy Trump? And honestly, Democrats do the same fucking thing. The Democrats are saying, we want rights for marginalized people, and we want this and we want that. We're gonna undo all of these bad things that the Republicans did. Why aren't they saying this isn't a debate? People should have their basic human rights, and it shouldn't be a question. It shouldn't be an option for us to fuck with that at all. It's just off the table, right? This isn't allowed. This isn't allowed. And I think everyone in our society should say this isn't allowed. People should not be dying because they don't have access to healthcare. Doctors should just provide that. If the law says that what they're doing is illegal, nobody should prosecute them. People should stop them from getting arrested. People should be throwing a fucking fit about it. Like going around the jails and the courthouses and shit and saying, hey, this person saved someone's fucking life. Hey, isn't it more fucked up that the law says that it's allowed, it's legal for them to just let this person fucking die? We need to take our power back. We need to take our control back. We need to live our lives as if we're already free. We cannot follow unjust laws. We all want the same thing. We want to live. We want to live. We don't want to see people being mass murdered. We don't want to see genocide. We don't want to see war. We want to have safety and the resources to live. We want to be with our friends and family. We want to be able to live how we want. We all want the same fucking thing. And isn't it so convenient, so smart for our government to make us think that there's just so much division and so much different, and it's just so complex and so complicated, and there's just these two sides that are just going so far apart and warring and all of this shit, and your neighbor, you can't fucking trust them because of the fucking sign they have in their yard. We all want the same thing. So I'm going to ask, who is it that's making us feel divided? Who is it that benefits from us feeling like we have no control? What can you do in your community, with your neighbors, with your family, with your friends, with the people you interact with every single day? How can you help people that will be directly affected by whoever becomes the president? How can we show up for each other? How can we show solidarity for literally everyone? What kind of world do you want to live in? And how can you create that? How can you live as if you're already free? How can you minimize the impacts of this bullshit in your community? How can you support people, de-radicalize people, empathize with people? How can we show solidarity? How can we unite? How can we say, what do we want, and how can we get what we want and what we need? Let this radicalize you rather than lead you to despair. I want to end this video by just telling you to take care of yourself. Please check in on your loved ones who will be significantly impacted by this, especially if they're living in a red state. I really think that being a leftist can be incredibly difficult and alienating. I think there are kind of so many doomers in the leftist community because we're kind of aware of the scope of how big these issues are and what we're actually facing. I think it's very easy for people to ally themselves with a political party and to convince themselves that that will create real change, and acknowledging that it won't, and living and existing and fighting through a framework that has never been freely given to us is really difficult. Having to do the work yourself to learn from the past and learn from things that we're not taught in schools. This real leftist history that has given us the rights that we have today as workers and as marginalized people has all been erased by our school system. And we've been fed this idea that change is brought through the hands of politicians, and it's not. I've been thinking a lot about leftism lately and what we want and what our goals are and how we can achieve them and how we can live according to our values. And I think one of the biggest things is we have to have hope. If you are still alive, there is hope. I mean, there are people that have survived some of the worst things in the world, like genocide, concentration camps, war. There are people that have lost so much. There is never a time to give up. As long as you are alive and scurrying around, there is hope. Good luck, comrade.